Hello and a very warm welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. You're watching COVID-19 India Fights Back. I'm Frank Rausen Pereira. While SARS-CoV-2 is known to impact people differently depending on their age, medical history and gender, one of the most puzzling things about the infection has to be gaining immunity against the virus. Earlier, it was stipulated that a person could only catch COVID-19 once. Documented cases of reinfection shunned those rumors away. Yet, doctors say that they don't have enough information on how long a person can be out of COVID risk after clearing the initial bout of infection. A new study suggests immunity against coronavirus lasts at least 8 months and could offer some form of natural protection for a number of years. Researchers at La Jolla Institute in California found that most people who have been infected with the virus develop robust levels of immune cells that appear to linger within the body in the months after recovering from COVID-19. Although some of these cells appear to fade away with time, the body retained the ability to remember the virus and produce the necessary response needed to prevent serious illness, the study revealed. Meanwhile, according to a new Oxford study, people who have contracted the coronavirus are highly unlikely to contract the disease again for at least 6 months. Researchers say that the findings are exciting because they represent an important step in understanding how COVID-19 immunity may work. In this edition of COVID-19 India Fights Back, we will analyze how long does immunity last in a recovered patient. Joining me on the program today are Professor N.K. Ganguly, former Director General, Indian Council of Medical Research, Dr. Lekha D. Bhatt, Assistant Professor, Department of Epidemiology and Public Health, Central University of Tamil Nadu, and Dr. B.L. Sherwal, Director, Rajiv Gandhi Super Speciality Hospital, New Delhi. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on this edition of COVID-19 India Fights Back. Professor Ganguly, let me begin the program with you first. Let's first try and understand this issue of immunity as far as a recovered COVID-19 patient is concerned. There are so many studies that have been conducted around the world over the last 1 year or so, and each one seems to be a little different from the other.
Actually, Mr. Pereira, the first time the assays which were being done, we didn't know the correlate of protection, and these were based on only neutralizing antibodies or IgM, IgG antibodies combined. So there were a lot of reports which came that the antibodies dropped very quickly, and it depends on the severity of disease. If you had more severe disease, you had more long-lasting antibodies. So it created a lot of confusion in people. The first study, which came from National University of Singapore, they showed that the SARS, which came in 2002-3, they had T-cell memory for 2 years. So they showed that there could be a long-term memory. And after that, there were a series of studies in King's College, in California and other places who put up new assays. Like one of the memory cells are the B cells. They produce antibodies, and there are subpopulation of B cells which actually can recognize the antigen as it gets into this, and again provides more antibodies and can get clonally expanded. So these B cells were then monitored by these groups. There is also T helper cells or T memory cells. There were better assays with that, and they work both for antibody production as well as cell-mediated immunity. So this is done by triggering them with antigen, and they produce gamma interferon. And that is very nicely measurable and is measured against AIDS and many other viruses. So looking at this, it was found that you could, from 6 to 8 months, there's a maximum which can be traced because it's a new infection, that there are memories which are there, and if they receive another infection or a mild infection or just a mild virus dose, these clones will expand and it will be recognized and immune system will start working. So the same modeling was done, as you have mentioned, by the Oxford study, AstraZeneca study. One of the things which they did modeling with, because they have not followed for 6 months, but some of the subjects entered early. And when they analyzed it, they found that the traces could be seen up to 6 months. But they did a subset, which actually has not been published. This subset, they found that those who they were looking at asymptomatic infection, that they were taking swabs, series of swabs, and measuring antibodies, and they saw that with the asymptomatic infection is also prevented on a long-term basis. So this was only a subset. This was not part of the main study. So that is why it was not emphasized while taking the regulatory permissions.
Right.
So all of this shows that up to 6 to 8 months there could be antibodies or immune responses, both T cells and B cell, which could recognize this infection. But
Sure.
the catchword is this, that all respiratory infections need an yearly vaccination. So at the moment, whatever information we have, like influenza, like others who also have mutations, we will need an yearly booster injection of the vaccine for COVID also.
Right, right. Okay, points noted. So, Dr. Sherwal, let me bring you into the picture now. So, how conclusive are these studies, first and foremost? So, does an already infected person who's recovered need not worry for the next 6 months or next 8 months? Or say, okay, let's not go to 6 months and 8 months, maybe for the next 3 months. But then you also have cases of reinfection, not too many. So, that's the silver lining really as far as SARS-CoV-2 is concerned. But how do you look at this entire picture?
No, as Dr. Ganguli has very elaborately, just enumerated that how one can get the immunity and what is the latest, information available to us. But the problem is the COVID is a new disease, and we have yet to understand it to the full extent. So once we get the cases who have been treated, and if they say that they are now safe from the COVID infection or COVID symptoms, so that will be a wrong impression. Once the COVID has been treated, so there are chances that they can, have the infection. That may be because of the other strain. There are so many other strains, there in the environment, and there can be, in the population, different people can be there in close by. So we are supposed to take all precautions which are simple, including the wearing the mask and avoiding the crowded area, the 2-meter distance to maintain, and hand hygiene. So that has to be maintained even if one has, been treated of the COVID. So in the near future, we may say that once we are having antibody levels in the body, but still it has been seen that though it is rare, but there have been reported now cases of reinfection. Even we have also got 2 cases who has come after 3-4 months, and they have been found positive for COVID once they were negative twice in between, and now they are positive. So that is possible.
Right. Okay. So, Dr. Lekha Bhatt, antibodies is one aspect. But what about the ability of the body to fight back? Maybe 6 to 8 months later, once a person is already infected. Does the body learn to fight the virus better if someone is already infected? So, if the person is reinfected, the body is in a better position to fight back?
This is an important area that we are discussing today, because whether the recovered patients are again getting infected or not, it has a large implication on vaccine development, and whether we need to go for a universal immunization, and as Professor Ganguly suggested, whether we need repeated booster doses. So it all depends on this particular kind of studies. So basically, we have two type of immune response which the body gives: innate immune response and adaptive immune response. So for innate immune response is the first response. As soon as the foreign body is detected in our body, it becomes active and releases a set of chemicals causing inflammation. And it is not infection specific. Whereas adaptive immune response, it targets antibodies, and our antibodies are produced, and only the cells infected with the virus is attacked. In that case, if we have stronger adaptive immune response, in the case of COVID also, the ability to prevent the disease for a second time will be more. Same way as Professor Ganguly suggested, it is health is not unidimensional, or it is influenced by social determinants of health. So if you take other aspects like gender, age, socioeconomic background, the level of severity with which the person was infected in the first time, all these aspects or other determinants will also play an equal role in determining whether the person will be second infected or not. And as we all know, there are no concrete evidence, scientific evidence on the basis of which we can decide and conclude that a person can be second time infected or not. We have to still wait for further studies and reports, scientific reports, so that we can have conclusive evidence in this direction.
Absolutely, absolutely. Professor Ganguly, since we are here, let's talk about the factors that are also important in determining immunity in a recovered patient.
Actually, these are markers which are known as markers for protection or protection correlate. There could be surrogate markers also. So people cannot do neutralizing antibodies. It is very difficult. It is done in very specialized labs. So now the IgG assays, which has been found out, are being developed as a surrogate assay. And the T-cell assay, which I said, is a well-established assay. Many people are performing that. But one of the things which has come up now, that even the small mutations which the virus is going on can be handled by the immune responses viruses are launching. So they can, so the mutation at this given moment will not be a major factor. And as Lekhaji told that, and you also told, that the different age groups launch different kind of immune responses. Older age group, even in the vaccine studies, it is seen the immune response is not that robust. So it might be lower than the young guys. Or we do not know in children because the vaccines have not yet been tested in children or pregnant women. But this we know that there is an age-related immune response also. So at this given moment, IgG assays have been now developed much better and could be used as a surrogate immune response. IgM responses are not that good. There is another test system which has been developed by Naveen Khanna from the ICGB in Delhi. This measures both IgM, IgG, and IgA. IgA is again something which actually is very, very important. This particular virus also infects gut, that is gastrointestinal system. Our main immune system is controlled by gastrointestinal system. So this antigen, when it is ingested, they then produce a system where the clonal expansion occurs much more robustly. So we used to worry that gastrointestinal system, like AIDS virus, that destroys our immune system and makes our innate immunity weak. But at this given moment, a boon has come that a small viral antigens in the gastrointestinal system can boost immune responses. So we are having now better markers for protection, and as the time goes, we will have more and more information. One more thing which you asked, Dr. Sherwal, I want to expand on this. There are most of the persons who get a reinfection gets a very mild infection. except one or two in the Nevada and other who got very severe infection. Actually, 8 clades of viruses are moving around. And these clades are very distinct. European clade, the Wuhan clade, and sometimes the California clade. So some of these clades are very distinct. Sometimes you may encounter a clade which might escape and produce a reinfection, which could be severe. But 99% of reinfection are very mild. That is what we have seen in the vaccines also. The vaccine group which got infection was a very mild infection. It didn't have severe infection. Whereas the placebo group had, those who got infected had a severe infection. So essentially, reinfection should not worry us that much at the moment, as Dr. Sherwal said, that we could have it, but we will have a very mild infection, which will not be very worrisome.
Okay. Since we are talking about the severity of the infection, my next question is based on that. Dr. Sherwal, does the severity of the infection also determine how long the immunity in an already infected person lasts? Could that also be a factor?
No, definitely, as far as immunity is concerned, immunity is there to protect, the further infection, and also immunity is important, to take care of, the body, and if there are certain symptoms, so recovery will definitely depend on the immunity. So if there are in neutralizing antibody, so the virus will be cleared from the body very fast. So that has a very, very important role. If there is no antibody or antibody level is less, definitely that may have role that disease may be prolonged disease or severe disease. So and immunity is really play a very, very important role in the progression of the disease and severity of the disease. So that is why we are trying various combination of the medicines, and along with that, immunity boosters are also being given in the treatment, so that immunity of the patient is increased. So that is to be taken.
Absolutely. Dr. Bhatt, since we are talking about immunity and we've been talking about immunity in recovered patients, let's also talk about immunity in those people who have not, immunity as a whole and not just people who have had COVID-19. What is the best way to increase immunity? Is it better to have, medical immunity boosters, natural way? What is the best way to increase immunity? Because let's not forget, there are several people around the world who have not yet been infected. So how do they take care of themselves?
Immunity in general, we have to boost. As of now, for this particular disease, the major step we can take is prevention. Right. So prevention using all the protocols that the government and other medical advisory bodies are advising, that has to be taken care of. And the regular exercises, vitamin C supplements in natural forms like fruits, like that, we can keep our immunity at a higher level. But considering the India's population and the social context, we do have a large section of population who are vulnerable, weaker sections. So how to boost their immunity? We cannot afford to have so much of supplements and such things to boost the immunity of a population in general. However, the steps which we can take at an individual level, at a community level, that will make a long difference, and in the long term, it will be useful.
Absolutely. Okay, time to get closing comments now from all my panelists with the best way forward as far as immunity is concerned. Starting first with you, Professor Ganguly.
Actually, one of the two immunity boosters which studies are going on is BCG vaccination, which actually boosts innate immune responses. And there are theories that the countries who have BCG program have a less severe disease. There is another one which is known as MW, which is already available in the market, and there are 2 or 3 studies which have been carried out. It is a very strong innate immunity booster. There are probiotics which are also available, which people could take. this boosts innate immune response. It brings down inflammation. It also controls the autoimmune response, which this virus does. There are some very good probiotics which are already in the trial, and they are also immune booster. We have, as Lekhaji said, we have a population which have a problem with the nutrition. They might be malnourished and others. So there are certain boosters which are given apart from vitamin C, vitamin D, which works with the TLR2 is a very strong immune booster. Zinc is also given to the patient. So vitamin D and zinc and vitamin C, all three are given to boost the innate immune responses in the patients. So these are some of the things which will boost innate immune response or inherent immune response in the person and should be used.
Okay, Dr. Sherwal, your closing comments on the program as well as talking about these immunity boosters. Will they have some kind of a side effect?
No, as far as immunity booster are concerned, most of them really don't have the side effect. But if they are, taken in moderation, I don't think there are any side effects. So, as Dr. Ganguly has enumerated the various, immunity booster, they need to be taken in the moderation and under the guidance of the, medical personnel. And even in the patient who are sick, they are also given a cocktail of various immunoboosters, and it is really helping the patients to recover fast. So we look forward that till the vaccine is there, till the disease, particular medicine is there. So we should stress on the immune boosters should be taken by the normal person and by the person who has been infected by the COVID. And we should always take the precautions which have been from time to time prescribed by the government. So that is very, very important. That is itself is a immune booster in a way. So that prevention is better than cure.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. It's an old adage, but it's still in use, and it's the best way forward really as far as any of the diseases or any of the medical issues are concerned. Prevention is always better than cure. On that note, Dr. Bhatt, close the show for us with your concluding remarks.
Immunity boosting is very important. Let it be by using immunity boosters or by doing exercise or by getting exposed to natural sunlight to get vitamin D. These all are very important. So if we take this COVID episode in India in a positive way, if we can boost our immune system by doing exercises and make it a routine, which Indians generally do not have, following a regular exercise regime, that also will be helpful on a long way. Also, the people who have recovered from COVID, they should not take the situation very casually that now I'm free from COVID and I can roam here and there, anywhere, and I'm very safe. This type of attitude should be avoided, and also we should not stigmatize the people who are affected by who were affected positive. Otherwise, they'll not come forward for further studies, trials. For studies and trials, clinical trials, we of course require the cooperation of the participants, respondents. So this is also very important that we don't stigmatize them, integrate them back to the society, and we look after each other till we are out of this pandemic completely.
Sure, certainly. We all have to work together and ensure that we emerge victorious, and we will eventually if we work together and ensure that we follow all the protocols that have been laid out and prescribed by the government and other authorities. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of COVID-19 India Fights Back. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective for us. And before I leave, Rajya Sabha TV would like to make an appeal to all its viewers to stay safe from the coronavirus pandemic. Ensure that you wear a mask whenever you step outdoors, and also wash your hands and face regularly and maintain physical distancing of at least 6 feet whenever you're in the presence or in the midst of others. With that, it's a wrap. See you again next time.